Hello everyone and welcome back to the CompTIA A plus 1101 review question series. This video will focus on chapter 11 and chapter 11 will be about troubleshooting methodology and resolving core hardware problems. I am aware that I haven't posted any videos in the previous 3 weeks or so, and I do understand that. I will finish this series most likely in 2 weeks. By the end of this month, it will be done. And of course, I'll be studying for the 1102. So I'll most likely create some videos regarding questions about the second stage of the CompTIA A plus exam. I recently passed the 1101. I will be making a short video on how to study for 1101 and what resources to use in order to pass it. Without further ado, let's get into this video. Alright. Question 1 says, you have discovered a fix for a broken laptop. Before implementing changes, what should you consider according to the best practice methodology? A. The user's budget. B. Company reputation. C. Upgrade feasibility. D. Corporate policies. As I stated in the previous videos, always pause to figure out what the answer is and of course keep going. The answer here is D, corporate policies. So when you are always going to fix a broken laptop or any broken device that needs to be fixed in a company, you will always have to look at the corporate policies to know what type of procedures to follow, what not to do, and such. Alright. Question number 2. When a user turns on their desktop computer, nothing appears on the screen. Typo there. They hear 3 long beeps, followed by 3 short beeps and 3 long beeps. What should you do as a next step? A. Replace the motherboard. B. Replace the RAM. C. Replace the CPU. D. Look up the beep code on the manufacturer's website. The answer here is D. Look up the beep code on the manufacturer's website. For every device or motherboard, there will be a certain beep code for that motherboard. Now I know here that it mentions desktop computer, but it follows the same rules because each motherboard has different type of beeping codes, and if you're not aware of what those beep codes are, you will have to go to the manufacturer's website to see what's wrong with that desktop computer. Question number 3. You are identifying the problem while troubleshooting at a network issue. Which of the following are the proper steps to help identify the problem? Choose all that apply. A. Inquire regarding infrastructure changes. B. Conduct internal or external research based on symptoms. C. Refer to the vendor's instructions for guidance. D. Determine the next steps to resolve the problem. E. Gather information from the user and identify user changes to the computer. The answers here are A. Inquire regarding infrastructure changes, and E. Gather information from the user and identify user changes to the computer. So, as always, the first step is to identify the problem in the troubleshooting methodology. So you will have to ask questions to the users and See if there's been any changes to the infrastructure, if there has been any new equipment set up, things as such. Question number 4. A field technician reports back that the computer they're troubleshooting has exposed distended capacitors. Which component has most likely failed? A. Power supply. B. Motherboard. C. CPU. D. RAM. The key word here is distended capacitors. So what component has distended capacitors? Always remember to cross off those that you think don't fit in the answers. The answer here is B, motherboard. So motherboards do have capacitors and they tend to store energy. Well, they do store energy and are located on the motherboard and inside the power supply. Now, if you do know that this is a problem, you can visually look into the motherboard and you can see the capacitors that are obviously distended. So this is a way to figure out the problem and to figure out what failed, because of course if it's a power supply you don't know much of going in there and checking out what it is. If it's a power supply, it's always best to just replace it. Number 5. You are using the best practice methodology to troubleshoot a video problem. During which step should you question the obvious? A. Test the theory to determine the cause. B. Establish a theory of probable cause. C. Identify the problem. D. Establish a plan of action to resolve the problem. So in which step do you state the obvious? The answer here is B. Establish a theory of probable cause. So this is where, well, this comes after identifying the problem. If I'm correct, if I remember correctly. Yes, this is the second step. So this is where you would obviously just trying to see what the problem is, and of course you can proceed from there. Question number 6. You are solving a problem with a desktop computer that was caused by human error. When is the appropriate time to implement preventive measures according to the best practice methodology? A. When documenting finding actions and outcomes. When testing the theory to determine the cause. C. When verifying full system functionality. D. When questioning the user to identify user changes. The answer here is C. When verifying full system functionality. Question number 7. You are troubleshooting a Windows-based desktop computer that is experiencing unexpected shutdowns. Which of the following would be a good next step to resolve the issue? Choose 2. A. Replace the motherboard, CPU, and RAM to see if it resolves the problem. B. Replace the RAM to see if it resolves the problem. C. Reinstall Windows to see if it resolves the problem. D. Replace the CPU to see if it resolves the problem. So what two things you can do? In this situation, you could replace the RAM to see if it resolves the problem, and replace the CPU to see if it resolves the problem. Sometimes unexpected shutdowns can happen because of memory, sometimes because of overheating, so you will have to replace, several components to see what the issue, or what component is causing the issue would be. Question number 8. When a desktop computer boots up, there is no video on the LC monitor. just a blank screen. The system makes one beep when it powers on, and air is coming out of the case fan. What is the most likely cause of the problem? A. The motherboard has failed. B. The video card has failed. C. The monitor is disconnected. D. The CPU or RAM has failed. Let's see. The answer here is C. The monitor is disconnected. So as always, you gotta start from physical. So you have to check your cables, see if there's anything that is unplugged, and of course plug it back in and see if it works. See, you have to look at the question. It says makes one beep when power is on and air is coming out of the case fan. Of course the system is working, so you would have to figure out whether or not the monitor is connected to the PC. Question number 9. You have implemented a solution that resolved an audio problem on a laptop computer. Following the best practice methodology, what is the next step to take? A. Document findings and outcomes. B. Verify full system functionality and if applicable, implement preventive measures. C. Establish a plan of action to resolve the problem. And D. Review system and application logs. Alright, so the answer here is B. Verify full system functionality and if applicable, implement preventive measures. So after you have resolved the problem, you'll have to see if it actually is working, test it out, which is this is the 5th step in the troubleshooting methodology. And then the 6th step, of course, is to document findings. You will have to write down what you did to resolve the problem, and of course what some things you can change for later on resources. Question number 10. You are training a class of new technicians on troubleshooting motherboard issues. Which of the following are issues most likely caused by a failing CMOS battery? Or here, batterty. Another typo. Choose 2. A. BIOS time and setting resets. B. Attempts to boot to the incorrect device. C. Intermittent device failure. D. BSOD / pinwheel errors. BSOD meaning blue screen of death. So what is the correct answer here when it comes down to CMOS batteries? The answers here are A. BIOS time and setting resets, and B. Attempts to boot to the incorrect device. So of course the CMOS battery is a small little 2042 circular battery, if I remember correctly, and it helps with setting the time and setting resets, and of course if it's not working properly it would give you an error that is trying to boot to the incorrect device. Question number 11. A desktop computer is experiencing continuous reboots. It gets to the BIOS screen, another typo, and then reboots every time. Which 2 components are most likely to cause this problem? Choose 2. A. Power supply. B. RAM. C. CPU. D. Motherboard. The answers here are CPU and motherboard. You will always have to check the motherboard and the CPU to see if there's any issue there that's causing the problem, because of course it says continuous reboots. So maybe it's overheating or the CPU is not working properly. Number 12. You have fixed a printer problem and verify full functionality. What is the next step to take in the best practice methodology? A. Document findings and actions and outcomes. B. conduct internal or external research. C. Review system and application logs. D. Establish a theory of probable cause. I think I gave this answer away, so this should be easy. A. Document findings, actions, and outcomes. So this is what happens in the last stage of the troubleshooting methodology. You will have to document the findings, as I stated before, after you verify full functionality and what you were fixing. Number 13. A user pushes the power button on their desktop computer but nothing happens. They double check that it is plugged in and that the wall outlet is working properly. Which components are most likely to cause this problem? Choose 2. A. Power supply. B. Motherboard. C. Power cord. D. CPU. And E. RAM. The 2 components that will cause this problem would be power supply and motherboard. Maybe when it comes to power issues, these will most likely be the culprits, as they say, because of course you need a power supply to supply power to the motherboard. So if if you press the power button and nothing turns on, it could be something wrong with the motherboard. Maybe it's faulty, or it could be that the power supply is no longer working. Question number 14. A technician who has been troubleshooting a computer tells you that the system is having problems with overheating. Which component is most likely to cause this issue? A. Power supply. B. Motherboard. C. CPU. D. RAM. C. CPU. So when it comes to overheating, this has to do with how the air is circulating, and of course the CPU. If the CPU doesn't have enough thermal paste, or it doesn't have any at all, it could lead to overheating. So it's always a good idea to check sorry, it's always a good idea to check the CPU. Question number 15. You turn on a desktop computer and it fails to boot. You hear a rhythmic ticking coming from inside the case. What is most likely the problem? A. Failed hard drive. B. Failed motherboard. C. Failed CPU. D. Failed RAM. E. A bomb. Alright, the answer here is A. Failed hardware. So any sound that you hear coming from inside a computer can be different things. It can be a loose fan that's clicking or ticking or doing a scratchy sound, or it could be a hard drive that is dying or that is not working properly. So when the disk spins, it makes a rhythmic clicking sound or ticking sound. And of course the SSD doesn't make any sound because it doesn't have a spinning disk. Some other things that can make sounds would be maybe the GPU, the fan is not working properly, or there's something stuck. So there's a few things to pinpoint. Question 16. You are using the best practice methodology to troubleshoot a printer. During which phase of the methodology should you use external research based on the symptoms? A. Identify the problem. B. Establish a plan of probable action to B. Establish a plan of action to resolve the problem. C. Establish a theory of probable cause. D. Implement preventive measures. So the answer here is C. Establish a theory of probable cause. This is where you make external research based on the system, because you want to establish what could be going wrong. So, of course, you can Google a few things or ask your co-workers and whatnot. Question 17. When you turn on a desktop computer, you hear a loud squealing noise coming from inside the case. Which components are potential culprits for making the noise? Choose all that apply. A. CPU fan, B. Power supply fan, C. HDD, D. SSD, E. CPU, F. RAM. The answers here are CPU fan, power supply fan, and HDD. As I stated a couple seconds ago, these could be some culprits of sounds that you hear coming from a desktop computer. It could always be the fans that maybe a screw is loose, so you have to screw it, or HDD, which could be a clicking sound. Question number 18. A user complains of smoke and foul odor coming from the desktop computer. So they shut it down. Which component is most likely causing the problem? A. Power supply, B. RAM, C. CPU, D. Motherboard. A. Power supply. So most likely you would smell like a smoke type of odor, which most likely can be the power supply, since all the components in there are trying so hard to provide power and whatnot, and something can go wrong. It just stops working, and you could smell maybe a foul, or just a bad smell. Of course, the RAM and CPU wouldn't make that much of a smell. The motherboard most likely, but it'll most likely be a burnt smell. Question 19. A Windows user complains that their computer keeps crashing. What is the proprietary crash screen they are most likely seeing? A. Stop sign, of course, why not? B. Pinwheel, C. BSOD, D. Black screen. The answer here is C. BSOD, which I stated before is a blue screen of death. Pinwheel refers to the Mac. So if you have a Apple computer, black screen could mean a lot of things. Cable's not connected, GPU is not working. And a stop sign, of course, we all know what a stop sign is, so that doesn't fall into any category here. Question number 20. You have been troubleshooting a laptop for an hour and have established a theory of probable cause for the problem. What is the next step you should take? A. Test the theory to determine the cause. B. Document findings, action, and outcomes. C. Verify full system functionality and implement preventive measures. D. Establish a plan of action to resolve the problem. The answer here is A. Test the theory to determine cause. Of course, this comes after you have found out what the problem is. So you will have to, see a way that you can fix the problem. Alright, guys. This is the end of the video. As always, I thank you guys for watching, and keep tuned, or keep an eye out for the last chapter of this series, which will be chapter 12. But yeah, see you guys next time, and thank you for watching as always.